Welcome. My name's Mike. I am one of the hosts of the Quizmakers podcast, and I'm super excited and not to sound too Californian, stoked to welcome Sarah Thrift from AgathaChristie.com. She is heads up all things digital and marketing and everything else, and she's graciously volunteered to participate. So welcome, Sarah.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes. And so what I have to ask, this is a great question just because my mom is a huge Agatha Christie fan. How did you end up at agathachristie.com?
Well, I ended up there because I love Agatha Christie. As you imagine, we're a small company, there's 16 of us, and we all love Agatha Christie. The company itself was set up by Christie herself in 1955 to make sure her works were represented and continued to be adapted and told. So it's a real kind of pleasure and a privilege. I like a lot of the books. I've watched a lot of the TV shows, particularly the new BBC dramas that started coming out in 2015. And when the job came up, I got a phone call saying, would you be interested in applying? And I just thought, how can I not?
Absolutely. Yeah, when you find there are certain jobs, I would even say the same thing about myself. I used to be a high school teacher, and now I work for
Oh,
the
wow.
quizmaker riddle.com. And so, yeah, it's like, okay, it's funny how life kind of gives you these.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to work for a bigger publisher, a very big publisher in the UK who published Christie, and it was a real honor whenever I got to kind of include her books in recommendations and in our email newsletters and on the website. So yeah, to just work on one author as well is a real privilege because you can really deep dive into all the stories, the characters. You can learn loads
Mhm.
about her life. Yeah, it's really exciting.
And get paid for it is your
Yeah.
job. That is
Yeah,
fantastic.
exactly. So I should be so lucky.
Absolutely. Okay, so that leads us to kind of a really good starting question. So obviously, Agatha Christie, I'm guessing you guys have a huge fan base of really passionate, devoted fans. What was the main marketing problem or challenge or issue or goal looking for quizzes and marketing?
So that's a good question. I think that when I joined, just 2 years ago now, when I joined, there were quizzes about Agatha Christie made officially, but they were via BuzzFeed. So we were sending traffic to another website, which didn't do data capture. We were sending it to somewhere that was unbranded, where they could also discover content that we have no control over. So we wanted to really bring the community back to our website. I worked at Penguin previously to this, Penguin Books, and we made great use of the Riddle tool there. I knew how good the conversion rate was on email newsletters and getting sign up. So I wanted to kind of harness that power at Agatha Christie. It's also worth saying, obviously, that after GDPR, everyone was looking for a way to bring people into the email newsletter, having lost up to 75% of your database.
Right.
So I think Riddle is a great way to give back to the community because communities love showing off their knowledge and sharing their fandom and their passion, but also getting them on board to find out more about what was happening on our website every single month.
Perfect. No, that's really interesting because, and for our listeners who are not familiar with GDPR, and there's a host of data privacy or privacy, that sounds British, regulations out there. So there's the European GDPR, there's California's CCPA, Canada's got one, and I'm sure they're just going to be popping up all left, right, and center.
Absolutely.
So I guess why do quizzes and lead generation work in that sort of environment?
I think it is because people love doing them. I think that by creating something with your own branding, which obviously Riddle allows you to do, your own color schemes, it also shows that they're trustworthy by being able to embed them on your own website. That all leads audiences to trust and sign up. Whereas if you were to put it on a third party site with random greens and blues when all your branding is, for our example, red and grey, then it doesn't look like it's official. There might be an extra sign up box saying sign up to hear from third party senders, which we would never do. So I think it's about that trust. And I also think that people want more of them. So one of the ways we try and make sure that we fulfill our promise to our audience is we do a new quiz now each month. And the first people who see that are our email subscribers.
Oh.
Launch the newsletter on the first Sunday of the month, quiz in it. And then only once all our newsletter readers have got it, do we then post about it on social media.
Oh, that's clever. So that's an interesting use case where you're using frequency of quizzes. So you're trained, or you've essentially trained your audience to say, hey, every month this content's coming out. And then you're also incentivizing signing up for an email newsletter and collecting email signups in the quiz. So people who are not part of a newsletter, you're like, hey, that's very smart. Do you want to get first?
So that's the plan. We started with a bulk upload. We did 4 or 5 to launch, and now we're doing one every month. And it's a really good way of enhancing the website too. The way we kind of choose which quiz topics to do is based on which areas of the site are most popular. So it's a no-brainer that the Hercule Poirot area of our website is really popular. So there should be a Hercule Poirot quiz. Once you've built that, you know that there's an appetite for the Miss Marple quiz, which you can then pinpoint as a couple of months down the line. So yeah, it's been a good discovery for us to see which areas we can explore. We haven't yet been able to go as granular as individual book quizzes, because we're kind of trying to do each character and time periods and locations and themes first. But we have had quite a lot of requests for individual book quizzes.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, so that would line up hopefully for us with a monthly book club we have online. We read books. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we read one book every month as part of an annual reading challenge, which I established in 2019. So that would be hopefully our next test case, would be to give people who attend the book club online a quiz at the end.
Fantastic. Sarah, that is super clever. You're using, that's really clever. This is a very innovative and unique use case. I mean, you're basically using quizzes to attract, retain, and also punctuate, if that's even the right word, events and things like that. So this is almost a virtuous circle where you're getting all these benefits from quizzes. For people who are new, so you have an advantage. Agatha Christie, amazing content, big fan base, and everything else. But the principles of quizzes, engagement, collecting data, they will work across everything from insurance to sports to whatever. If you were to give some advice to people who are new to creating quizzes with this marketing approach in mind, what are some tips you would give?
Absolutely. I actually spoke to someone about Riddle recently, and he worked in pensions, and he said, could I use it? So we talked about kind of what sort of things people might ask, and how you could add a fun spin to pensions with quizzes. So I definitely think it's kind of for everyone. I'd say the most important thing is to make sure you take time to build an exciting quiz, regardless of what the content is. I think you get out what you put in. So make sure that even if the quiz is on something quite simple, you use good imagery, you support it with a range of multiple choice questions. I think it's quite fun to include GIFs, then in other cases use still imagery, a little audio clip, kind of mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
I guess in terms of, for us, obviously we do trivia, but we will look to do a kind of personality quiz in the future where if you like X, you should read Y. And I think those are quite clever ways of getting to know your customer base as well. So if you're not sure you can do a trivia question based on pensions, you could probably do a personality. What sort of person are you? Someone who saves for a rainy day, someone who blows all out on a big holiday, as someone whose
Perfect.
isolation spending has gone off the charts.
I'm not going to say, but that may be me. I am feeling a little guilty these last couple of days.
Absolutely. So I think that there are different types of quizzes for everyone. And I do think that the personality one's particularly interesting. I also think the polls are very useful. I think we use quite a lot of polls on Facebook and Twitter anyway to ask our audience what they think. So even just adding an interactive poll to the end of a in-depth news piece is a fascinating way of getting people to engage and encouraging that activity of clicking on your site, which you can then lead into them doing a longer quiz later down the line.
Perfect. No, this is great. For people who are listening, thank you so much for all the plugs about Riddle. There are a wide range of quiz makers out there, so this is not a Riddle only podcast, although we are quite cool. But no, there's a number of them, but the principles are constant. And so you hit them all, use engagement, data collection. So that pension person, he'll know that Bob from Bristol answered, and question 2 is like, hey, are you a saver? Are you a spender? When are you going to retire? All that stuff. So when he has a call with them later or sends out an automatic email, it can be tailored to those preferences. So that's super cool. So yeah, thank you so much for that oversight. We're going to wrap things up because quizzes are short and punchy, and so we don't want to have this going for too long. But controversial question for you with your fans.
Okay.
Brace yourself. What is your favorite Agatha Christie book and why?
Okay, I would say I'm probably similar to some fans in that your first Agatha Christie is often your favorite. My first was Death on the Nile, and so it is my favorite. I think the combination of a love triangle mixed with multiple murders, mixed with a glorious setting on a steamer down the Nile makes it really special for me. When I was a teenager, I was always really intrigued by these exotic holidays. And my mother lived in Cairo at my age then, so it was the first one I picked up, and it didn't disappoint, and it still doesn't.
Fantastic. No, especially now in the time of the coronavirus, reading these escapist novels are such a great way to kind of scratch that itch of someday.
Absolutely. And I think, armchair travel is the new destination, isn't it? So I'm embracing it fully.
Absolutely. Sarah, thank you so very much for your time. I love the answers, love the creative ways you're using the quizzes and to engage and also to collect data with your audience and basically just rocket marketing. So thank you so very much. And
thanks so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.